Hey everybody, what is going on? Good morning. Hope you guys are continuing to do well, and we are going to roll right along with this little video series, 2026 Seattle Seahawk predictions, and we are done with the offense. Finished up the offense yesterday by looking at the blockers, mostly the offensive line. So now we're going to roll on over to the defense here. This is the unit that is a little bit more accomplished, a little bit more credible, although both units are very much good. This defense was probably the best in the league last year, and it could easily be the best in the league again this year in my mind. So let's start with the front. Let's start with the defensive line, and I'm just going to be keeping it to the interior guys, the tackles. Not going to get into the edge rushers until a later video. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. And let's just go ahead and get right into it. This is probably the strength of the team. This is the best part of this team right now. You have two guys that are among the best in the league at their position. You've got a capable veteran. You've got an exciting second-year player who basically missed his entire rookie season. This is kind of where the magic happens for the Seattle Seahawks. They have incredibly good play on their interior. So, let's start with Leonard Williams. Big Cat has been the best player on this defense in prior years. I don't know if he was last year, but he was in the conversation. And he is somebody who is getting older, somebody who is now in a contract year, although I expect that to get resolved before the season actually starts. Either way, though, we've got him for 2026, and I think he'll be very good. But there are a couple things going on here with Big Cat. Number one, he is getting older. I feel like 2024 and to a certain extent 2025 were his peak years. And now that he is pushing up past 30 by a couple of years, he is going to start to go the other way just a little bit. And also, you've got the ongoing breakout of Byron Murphy to kind of take away some of Leonard Williams' opportunities to make plays because Murphy makes a lot of those plays. And when you throw in a guy like a Rylie Mills, Williams may not play as much as he has in previous years. He might be preserved for the postseason a little bit more. And there are just going to be less opportunities for him to make plays because he's got guys around him that are going to take a lot of that pressure off. And maybe that results in him being a better player at the end of the year, but it brings his numbers down a little bit. So it's definitely not a bad thing. But I do expect Leonard Williams to continue a little bit of a statistical slide, although he may remain more or less equally effective as he has been. So I went with 56 tackles, a little bit less than the last couple years, but still a good amount. Still a expected amount for a player like him, little less than 4 tackles a game. He is somebody that gets very involved going after the ball, so it's reasonable. Tackles for loss, I went with 8. He's a guy who, and this is kind of the case for the Seahawks defense in general, I think, except for like Drake Thomas and Nick Eamon-Warry. You don't make a lot of plays behind the line of scrimmage. You make a lot of plays at or just beyond the line of scrimmage. That's kind of how things are. So 8, and of those 8, I think 5.5 are going to be sacks. So going to see a decrease in his sack production. I don't know about his pressure production, though. I still got him at 25. Last year he was 29. I think he'll still generate a lot of disruption and still be very valuable. I just feel like it'll result in a few less sacks for the reasons I discussed earlier in this video. If you like sports, then the best way to make them even better and more exciting is using the Prize Picks app, where it always feels good to be right. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy simple. Just pick more or less on your favorite players and build lineups with a few taps. Whatever sport you're into, and obviously we are now firmly into the NFL offseason, so we're all about baseball, we got some basketball, we got some hockey, whatever it is you like, Prize Picks gives you a fun way to stay locked in while you're watching. Definitely make sure to use the promo code HMA. Prize Picks is hooking up users with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. If you use that promo code, that is HMA. I've had a great time on Prize Picks so far, so definitely get on over to it, check it out, and make sure to get your lineups. And don't forget about Team Picks, where you can pick winners, spreads, and totals on any major game. So download the app now, use HMA, and get on over to Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And remember, always gamble responsibly. So still a very good year. He might make the Pro Bowl. He's probably going to get some All-Pro nods because I do think this defense is going to be phenomenal, but his individual numbers on the box score sheet will probably go down a little bit. Byron Murphy, on the other hand, I see going the other way because he's still nowhere near his prime, and he was so incredibly good last year that I can only project him to continue to get better, especially because as time goes by, there will probably be more opportunities for him as a pass rusher because eventually I think we want to kind of put him where he's going to be best. And ultimately, Byron Murphy is meant to be a pass rushing 3-tech. I understand that there may not be a ton of room for him to take a lot of snaps there. As time goes by, though, he'll get more and more. So tackles, 68, which is a lot, but given what he did last year, given what he can do, given how young he is, it's reasonable in my mind. To me, you can make a pretty good argument that Byron Murphy's our best player. I think he's our best player on defense, but he might be our best player overall. The only guy who I think really contends with that would be JSN. Maybe somebody like a Witherspoon, but Murphy plays a more valuable position. And the fact that he added really good pass rushing production last year, despite playing a lot of his snaps as a 1-tech, I think people don't understand how good this is going to be if you give it a little bit more time. I go 11 tackles for loss, most of which will be sacks. I have 9 sacks, which is brave, but he had 7 last year, and I think he'll have more opportunities this year. He should be a better player, should get more opportunities as a pass rusher, more as a 3-tech. So I don't see why not, unless last year was just a big aberration and he's going to just go back to being a pretty middling pass rusher who's mostly just a run-stopping guy until he gets to play 3-tech full-time. But I don't see any reason to believe that right now. And pressures, I went with 27. I think that he's going to be getting to the quarterback a healthy amount. I don't think he'll unleash his full potential until he's a full-time 3-tech, but he's shown that he can still find ways to get into that backfield and make plays without being the full-time 3-tech. So I'm rolling with it, and I think by the end of this year, there's going to be an interesting conversation on if Byron Murphy's our best player. Okay, so then you got Jarran Reed, and look, Jarran Reed, good to have around. There's a reason why the team kept him. There's a reason why the team gave him a 3-year contract a year ago. But when you take a look at what else is going on this team, I don't think there's going to be a ton of opportunities for Reed to play. And I think this team values him as an off-field leader and somebody, a veteran presence, more so than he's going to go out there on the field and do a bunch of amazing stuff. He's going to play. He's going to find ways to contribute, but this is a guy they're probably going to find ways to pace throughout the season. There are going to be games where he barely plays. There are going to be games where he's just held out with a very minor or nondescript injury. And when we get to the end of the season, he'll still have something left to give, but that's what you have to do to continue to get good stuff out of Jarran Reed. So I'm going pretty modest here. 23 tackles. I think he'll miss some games. I think he'll miss some time. Even if he doesn't necessarily get hurt, there are going to be games where either he barely plays or doesn't play. 2 tackles for loss and 2 sacks. He'll find his way to the quarterback a couple times, but doesn't seem to really be what we ask him to do anymore. And with all the other really good pass rushers we're going to have in the interior, you need somebody to kind of just occupy space. And I think Reed will be asked to do that. Pressure 7 just doesn't seem like it's a big part of his game anymore. And remember, it's Pro Football Reference pressures. They have a high standard for what constitutes a pressure. And then we get to Rylie Mills, who I think is one of the most interesting players on this defense because this could go so many different ways. You could easily look at all this and say he's just not going to get to play very much. I don't get that sense, though. I get the sense that they're going to find snaps for him, even if they take a bunch of snaps away from Reed and even Big Cat, because in their mind, those are guys they want to make sure are there at the end of the year. And Rylie Mills, being a young guy, is somebody that you can throw a bunch of snaps at and he can hold up. And he's proven, I think, or, well, proven's a strong word, but he's shown that he can be more than just a jag who takes snaps. So I went with 22 tackles. I'm not looking for anything massive, but I think he'll find his way out there on the field a good amount. 6 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks. It seems to be his game. It seems like he has a decent amount in his game in terms of bull rushing and using his arms and using his just upper body strength to find his way to the pocket and get to the quarterback. So I'm going to ride with it a little bit here. It's a little bit bold, but I feel like there's a plan to deploy Rylie Mills more than you would expect just based on looking at the rosters. Pressures 19. I just I don't know. I'm starting to buy in on the hype a little bit. Sometimes I buy in on hype in the offseason, sometimes I don't. But the Rylie Mills thing, it feels like there's a pretty big plan here. Mike Morris, very much an afterthought at this point. I don't even know if he'll make the team. I go with 2 tackles and nothing in terms of the backfield, no pressures. So obviously that's just kind of like a guy who's on the roster to be on the roster. And the totals are, I mean, this is really good. Remember, this is just the interior defensive line. 171 tackles, 27 for loss, 21 sacks, 78 pressures. If you are getting this out of your interior defensive line, you are doing very, very well, especially if you can pace them throughout the season and continue to get really good things from them at the end of the year. So that is what I got. That is what I got for this defensive line. Let me know what you guys think. Those are my statistical predictions, and they will continue to be maybe the best unit in all of football. I can't think of another interior defensive line I would rather have than this Seattle Seahawk interior defensive line. Okay, more videos coming later, but let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys soon. Go Hawks.